and it's personal stuff, but it's also stuff that every single one of us goes through. Like when you're talking, I'm like, oh, yes, I know. I know where you are. So it's going to be helpful for a lot of people.
I hope so, yeah.
Okay, so it seemed to me, even though you're kind of in the middle of it, in the thick of it, or you were when you wrote that to me, um, that you kind of know where you are a little bit more. Okay, because I made a video when I first read your intake form, and it
Yeah.
was, I don't know if you noticed it was advice to you immediately online, but it was when you choose to leave your comfort zone because it's not satisfying anymore, right?
Yeah.
You're like answering a call for growth that your soul wants.
Mm,
And you get just far enough away from your comfort zone that you couldn't go back. And if you did, it would feel so icky.
true.
But you haven't reached your goal yet, so you're really vulnerable. It's kind of like a butterfly when its wings are still wet right after the cocoon. Like you could definitely, a bird could eat it. It doesn't look pretty yet, like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's so uncomfortable, but it's worth it to build a resistance to that kind of discomfort because then your growth will be profound. And even more than a resistance, like an appreciation, like a kink for this kind of discomfort would be wise. Um, once you, I mean, I'm sure in your life you could probably trace back patterns of other types of growth with this
Th-
situation.
Yes, that is true. Uh,
Okay.
but definitely, like, for example, because I've been in this position in art specifically when I was trying to practice landscape. Because in the beginning, when I started painting, I was completely focused on portraiture. But I've always had an interest in landscapes. But for me, landscape was always something so hard because it
Mm,
never came to me naturally. Like
mhm.
portraits, like it's something I grew up always wanting to draw, wanting to paint. So it didn't feel like
Yeah,
something weird learning. But with landscape, it always like to me, I was like, how do people see the things they're doing? How do things come out this way? And when I decided to actually learn it, I remember I reached to a point where it was so bad, like confident wise, and I wanted so many times to stop and just go back to portrait because it was my comfort zone. So
exactly. Okay,
yeah, so I
good.
think it
Yes.
was that, yes, yes, in something else.
Okay, wonderful. So I have a bunch of notes, so I'm just gonna go through them, and some of them may not be relevant, but we'll just see. So, I want to look back before you decided to venture and get more skill. What exactly were you dissatisfied with? Excuse me. Like
So
you're painting and you're like, ugh, like what were you dissatisfied with?
So I think it was a couple of things. One of the most things I've noticed was I've always felt like my paintings, no matter how much I try to plan it, no matter how much I try to create like layers and depth, it always lacked real depth whenever I looked at it. Like I would look at
Okay,
other artists' work and I would be like, I'm like, wow, this is so like well structured and planned, for example.
let me stop just to get clarification. I think what you might be talking about is realism, like
Uh,
how real it looks, because yours is more at this point, or where it was when you decided to study more, is more of a stylized, kind of illustrative kind of
yes.
thing. That's only taking drawing skills so far. Edge, value, nuance in the fundamentals is what gives you depth, but that's just realism and drawing skills. Does that make sense to
This
what you're
is
saying?
This is the second thing. Definitely, this is the second thing. Yeah. The first thing, I think it's more like the overall painting with the composition and everything. It always felt like it could be better,
Mhm.
especially because for a while I couldn't understand composition for a long time, and no matter how many times I tried to learn it, I tried to attending like workshops and stuff, and it in my head, whatever people were saying, I'm like, I still don't understand what they're trying to say.
Uh, would you like a little side note on my thoughts of composition?
Yeah, of course, I would love that.
Um, I don't like studying composition. I think that what makes an interesting composition is a creative mind and vision. So I have seen and I have like stubbornly broken every compositional rule. I
Yeah,
think some rules, not that I've even bothered to read them, might be like, you know how certain kinds of balance just feels good, and maybe all humans just can feel when there is good math in something. I feel like good math feels good to a human, like symmetry feels good to babies, right? In
yeah,
faces. Okay, so like some things we may just feel, and those things may be the same across the board. And then someone realized and wrote it down as a rule of composition. But I think if we're individuating and we're creating new, interesting art from our perspective, then whatever looks good to you is good composition. And to over intellectualize it, for me, it feels strangling. I love to start a painting with no plan. I never plan a painting because it bores me to plan a painting. I get all the excitement drained out of it before I start it. I like to
mm,
come up to a problem live in the painting and be like, oh crap, and then come up with a creative solution that saves it. And that's the composition. That's the story of the painting. So I think building your own taste and self trust
yeah,
will teach you about what you think about composition. Because, oh, what do they say? Like, you can't cut a wrist off or a neck off, or you can't have something be like right in the middle, or you have the right horizon. Like, you can do whatever you want if you can do it. If you can make it good, like, attempt. Maybe a good practice is attempt to break every rule of composition and see if you can't make a pleasing painting. That would probably
yeah.
teach you more than memorizing the rules and following them.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely an interesting take because lately I have been trying to plan before I start any like painting, which I've never done before in the past. And it does reach sometimes to a point where it gets frustrating. And sometimes I just like leave them to the side. I'm like, ah, you know what? Once I feel confident enough, like to know what I am planning for, I'll get back to this. So maybe, yeah,
Mhm.
I should try a different method with this.
So I
So
would ask, go ahead, sorry.
or no, I was just saying like so this is like on the compositional part, let's say.
Yeah. Okay. So then what is your, and I have notes, so we will get back to the road. But in your character, so what I've noticed is like students who come study with me and the way that I am, like I've noticed what kind of character I am as a painter. Um, and I've seen many different types of painters build careers on different types of personalities and emotional capacities and things like
Yeah.
that. So, in your life outside of painting, do you plan everything, schedule everything? Um, or do you take risks, or do you make sure that you know the whole outcome before you do something, right? Like,
Yes.
what kind of character are you?
I'm a very hardcore organizer. I like everything. I have to think about all the what ifs when I'm creating any kind of plan. I prefer always for my week to be fully structured before it starts. Like I understand what I'm even at work, like what I'm going to work on. Okay, what if like a new project suddenly pops in, how to like manage it in case it was popping in, for example. So yeah.
Okay. And in your painting before this new evolution point, were you that organized with your painting?
No, actually. I
Oh,
was
interesting.
just just doing whatever I find interesting, trying out anything and everything. Yeah, it was a different journey, to be honest.
Okay, so what we're going to have is theories that you need to test in your own time.
Yeah.
So like perhaps this is the question, the theory, is painting a place where you get more freedom, a compartmentalized, organized, safe space for abandon, right? Maybe that's what you need in your life because you're organized about everything else. And so maybe trying to put too much organization on your freedom place is problematic. But what you need to have is like this question and find ways to experiment with if that question is correct, right? Um, or perhaps you need to institute the same amount of order on your painting that you do on everything else, and it'll work for you. And you need to try both these things and see how they feel. I definitely wouldn't worry about like if you decide which one is right, it would be like, how does it feel in your body when you're doing it? Does it feel like you're going against something, or is there spaciousness to go forward?
Yeah, definitely I get
Okay.
that. I have noticed, in fact, that most of the time when I try to do planning related to art or painting, I most of the time don't follow it. Like
Okay.
it's the complete opposite in like my other stuff in real life. And then I end up doing something completely spontaneous.
And how is that feel? Because, okay, sometimes when my like my life is, I realize like in an epiphany moment recently, it's it's this, I'm in the middle of flow and order, and I'm trying to put the dial in the really in the middle so that I
Mm.
can do both. If I go too far into flow, then I just stop caring. If I too
Mm.
far into order, then I'm stiff, right? So trying to figure out,
A balance.
yeah, it needs some experimentation for you, I'd say. I'd say just do experiments. So when you did the order and then you abandon it, how did it feel? Did it feel good? Or did it
It
feel like you're being bad, like
yeah,
badly
it felt
behaved?
like I wasn't disciplined enough when I should have been. But at the
Mhm.
same time, it I would tell myself, but like, no, this is supposed to be the place where you're enjoying yourself more. It's not a place where you're supposed to be like telling yourself, no, you do this, you don't do that.
Okay, that's maybe a misconception.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
so much. Okay, so painting isn't supposed to be anything. And it's certainly from a career painter who had no safety net, like for any other plan, um, it's hard. And it took so much discipline. And you only get to the freedom and individuation through the grueling and like dogged pursuit of your desires with
Yeah.
skill, blah, blah, blah. And I can tell you're not a stranger to hard work and reaching a goal from just what you sent me. But make sure that you're not putting preconceptions and stories on what painting is that
Mm.
come from outside of you or come from what you were told painting is growing up, right? Um, Painting is what you decide it is. So it can be a place, like I said earlier, for you to just go wild, be free, have no rules. But that's like a hobby.
True. That is true. Which
But
is what I'm trying now to get out of, actually.
okay. And it's not definitely a hobby. I think if you went for complete abandon and a career, then you might be, and I don't know, because I'm not one, an abstract expressionist. But if you want to paint representational paintings, it's going to take some structure because that's something extremely difficult to learn, as you know. Okay,
That is
let me try to refocus. um, yeah, so we just want to empower you to be like, what do I want out of this? How do I get it? I think when you're like, I need more order, I don't want more order, it's like the teenage part of yourself that needs to mature. And it
Mm.
only does that um, when it decides what's important, right? When it knows it's in charge. I choose this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because I can relate with that. Um, okay. This brings me back to the next question.
Oh, by the way, sorry, just before we
Yeah,
like,
go ahead.
yeah, because you were also telling me in the beginning, like the portraiture style itself, you were telling me it's more illustrative,
Mhm.
and I was describing something more realism. This was also something like one of the main things with portraiture where I noticed that my portraits could be more realistic without diving too deep into realism, because I'm not a huge fan of painting like realism, like really,
Yeah.
really things, yeah. But I do want my paintings to look more real, to look like they are like coming out of the canvas, not just like
Hmm.
doing something that is 2D-ish, let's say. So this is
Yeah.
something else that I've been trying to definitely work with.
Yeah. So, if you have any resistance to learning more skill because you don't want to learn too much skill, because you still want to be more abstracted and illustrative, but you, I think maybe a suggestion, if you separate your time painting study path, this is what I tell all my students and everyone, study path, art path with a capital A, art, study.
Yeah,
In the study path, if you want to gain skill for realism, just gain all of it and gain it up to a point beyond where you want to use it. Like, because then you can throttle yourself with a lot of control. Um,
okay.
I remember I remember telling myself the story when I was younger. Oh, I don't want to go take a class there because their stuff looks stuffy and I'm expressive and I'm afraid to like stifle myself. It's not
Yeah,
possible. More skill is just more tools to be amazing. And that story is also about being afraid to walk into the order and the
yeah,
slowness and the stillness and the patience of learning more skill. So
yeah,
part of that is your ego being like, I don't need that because it's scary to put yourself in that. So I like the idea of splitting study path and art path. So you have time where you're just painting however you want to, trying to
mm,
make art for you, and time where you surrender to the method. Now, I suggest you choose one teacher at a time and study
mm,
with their method because there's something in their painting that you love and want. And then and you commit to that method if they're giving a method. I
yeah,
when I made my method for what I needed to do to get myself in order, because my teaching method is how I stopped being so disorganized in my own painting. Um, I did it for 5 years without, that's because I was
mm,
also teaching it, but without altering because it was the perfect limitation to have my skill grow and grow and grow. I didn't bore with it. You
yeah,
alter your subject and keep the process the same. I notice a lot of people, they don't give a process or a plan or new education enough time. They get uncomfortable and they're like, maybe I don't need it.
mm,
So,
yeah. I
yeah.
definitely understand this part. I think maybe I made a mistake here. I don't know if it's a mistake, but when I did decide to like go through this like evolving journey, I picked a couple of like amazing artists that I love their work. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna learn something from each one of them. Like
Hmm.
thing I like from each one of them. And each one of them had his own method. Each one of them had their own like palette. Each one of them had their own process. And I was jumping between all
Yeah.
of these.
That's a lot of information to organize. Me at this point, if I took 5 classes, I could be like, okay, I could probably have enough perspective to see what type of painters they are and why they're doing it. But that's after, I don't know, 150 years of painting.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm really happy that you picked people that you were excited about. Not everyone does that. So that's really good that you had that knowledge. Okay. Um, but yeah, it's going to be confusing if you have many people. So I would say pare it down to one.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, I'm a cough.
Mm.
Um, are they giving you a process that you can repeat?
All of them have, yes. It's not, I've never done an individual. I've never done any kind of like coaching or like individual classes. All the classes I've been taking, which I'm taking all of them in 1 year, actually, nearly. They were all like group classes where they happen online. You see their whole method and you could continue like after. But I never actually like continue for long periods of time with that same method. I would then learn something else.
Okay. I wonder who are the painters that you took classes from? Can I look them up so I can
Yeah,
see what or can you put a link in the chat?
okay. Let me.
Take your time. But if I can see what they have in common,
I think most of them have something in common. Um, Let me actually take it here from my Instagram. It's easier to reach. Mm, okay. This is one. And then, okay, I'll send the first for now. While I get. Zoom. Okay.
thank
These are.
you.
There is also.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I'd say his work, that's, I'm going to share
yeah,
the
sure.
screen just so people can see who watch. Okay, so yes, I've heard of him before. Um, it's very sweet. It's still kind of illustrative. Um,
I definitely was very interested in the way he was using colors. Um, like even the process of it was really
okay,
amazing for me to learn when I was learning it.
Okay, so colors. Colors is important. He does have a high degree of drawing skill, drawing ability, which is great. So yeah, I'd say this is a this if you study with this person, you will definitely gain the skill you're looking for. I mean, if he is a good teacher and you
He
like
was,
him,
yes,
okay,
he was
good.
amazing.
Okay, and I'm going to stop that share and you'll give me another one. Oh, keeps opening the wrong browser.
The most recent one is the last link I shared with, which is with Kelly. This is the most recent workshop I took, which is I think where I started to feel the real frustration in my process.
Okay, so I don't know her, but she looks like she studied with Susan Lyon, would be my guess. It's feeling very similar, kind of like a Richard Schmid lineage, maybe Jeremy Lipking lineage. It's looking very much like that, which is related to where I came from. Also,
Mm.
very honestly, like illustrative, sweet, kind of, I don't
But
know, like
the thing,
light.
yeah, what like really drew me is how much life the portraits themselves have, I guess. Like you can really
Okay.
see them coming to life somehow, which is one of the things that I've been really trying to like get better
Okay.
at. Yeah. But
So
it was, yeah,
that's drawing. That's drawing skills. That's all that is. You need better drawing skills. Um,
okay.
I really find it frustrating that people come and they're like, I love the way you handle the atmosphere. I'm like, what? No, I don't know. There's no atmosphere painting class. Not really. All it is drawing. Like I love keeping it so simple. So
Yeah.
simple, right? Shapes, values, edges, color, paint texture. This is all you need to know. You need to know how to break down each of those elements into exercises, get healthy processes that you repeat regularly to hone each of those fundamental skills. That's all you need. If, honestly, if you can draw first
Yes.
a very realistic and beautifully designed portrait
Mm.
with pencil, you are 75% of the way there. And then take that ability and translate it into paint, then
Mm.
you can do anything. A portrait is the best thing to work with because if you're painting a tree or a vase or even a piece of fruit, there's a lot of wiggle room for if you get the drawing right. Because you know what?
True.
A pear can look good like this or like this. But the
True.
person's face gives you zero wiggle room, really. You have
Mm.
to be able to have great drawing. So the figure and the portrait, focus on that for
Yeah.
skill improvement.
Definitely.
Um,
Yeah.
I do think it that's enough. I don't need to see anyone else, but those people will be able to teach you, if they're good teachers, they'll be able to teach you better drawing skills, which is what
Mm.
you're looking for, in my opinion.
Yes.
Um, okay, so that's great. Your instincts are leading you in good directions. Uh, I'd also say that when you say you taught yourself for 9 years and then on year 10, you're like, I think I'll take instruction. It makes, I am not surprised it's uncomfortable. You're like, I am a self-starter and I am Like, I'm impressed with you that you had that idea after 9 years of being self-taught. Like, that's actually really courageous. I've,
So there's a reason why. So the thing is, because I'm here in Saudi Arabia, when I first got interested in art, there wasn't really anything here that I could learn from. Like we didn't have schools, we didn't have like workshops. Like even if there were artists, like no one here was giving any like classes or teaching or anything. So really the only method I could learn from was YouTube in the past. And that's like before COVID.
okay.
And
I
before
see. So it's
COVID, there's nothing
circumstantial.
online. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, okay. No, that's helpful. But I still think like it makes a lot of sense that if you're going from like I'm the boss of me to you're the boss of me, that's hard. You know?
I guess.
What about Omar Abdulatif? Okay. Do you know him? He is, I think, closer to you. I don't know exactly how close, but his paintings are looking a little religious lately, but um his drawing skill is like like golden age of illustration level amazing. I
Oh, yeah.
will do you, can you see this if I show it to you here?
Yes.
Okay.
I just Instagram.
You found him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he and I follow each other, and he asked me about teaching a while ago, and I was like, make a class and I'll advertise it for you. Like it's rare for anyone to have drawing skill as good as him, from my
Okay.
observation. Um, so he does really interesting like people in the public transportation paintings. I really like those. So if he's teaching, I would recommend, like he reminds me of JC
Mm.
Leyendecker, like that, who's like one of my favorite illustrators, level of skill.
Wow, okay. Definitely
Okay.
check it out. I think he's from Egypt. Egypt
Ah,
or no? Yeah.
okay. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, the next thing I wrote, I don't think you have an issue with, so we'll skip it. Mm. In general, I think that so you don't want to have painting as a hobby from what you were saying earlier. You kind of want to move out of that. Do you want it to be your career?
Yes, because at the moment it's like a part-time job for me, but I do want it one day to become my main career, and I want to be confident enough to have it as my main career.
Okay. So I would say when I look at painters that I have come up with or that I observe, there's different types of people who have painting as a career.
Mm.
Um, there are what I would call craftspeople slash businessmen, right? Who like learn a skill, repeat it, sell it. That like they have a product.
Mm.
And I'm not saying I don't know how much they enjoy repeating the same product forever.
Yeah,
Some some people, I think what's fun for them is the act of painting, and so they don't mind doing the same thing forever, like that's okay with them. And
yeah,
that's a really good fit for the art world. Like,
yeah,
well, actually just capitalism, right? Like if you can do something that people buy over and over, like you'll have support from galleries because they'll be like, that's easy for us. And you're not like that kind of artist who wants to grow. So that's great. Um, so obviously I am not that type because I can't keep the attitude out of my voice when I talk about it.
yeah. I
But
get
there's
it. I get it.
forgive me, but that's like a type. So if if you can do that, that will be an easy way to have a career.
Mm.
Um, for me, I see like, so if that's like the craftsman businessman, I would be more like I'm the philosopher. That's why
Mm.
teaching fits well for me because I get to keep thinking and sharing and growing knowledge. Um, Most painters who are career painters have more than one income stream. This is what I've noticed and talked to with my peers. So we paint, sell paintings, and either teach or do commissions or have good gallery relationships. Um, I don't know, whatever else you can think of. Um,
Yeah.
Not everyone's suited for teaching. So those people normally um, will do commissions or something like that. But for commissions, you have to have like either enough clout and fame that people come to you for what you naturally do, and that takes a while.
Yeah.
Or you have to be able to be mercenary for enough money.
Mm.
So there's all of these things to balance and learn about, like what your character is and what will fit for you. And um, I think that what I'm seeing in your work from the departure point of looking for more skill is what I see in a lot of painters' work who it's a bit derivative, right? Like
Mm.
that's like that's hard. So I am sorry if that is hard to hear, but I want to let's see. I'm trying. Okay, the I don't know if you know which ones I'm talking about. It is hard to learn to paint something that also many people paint like. So this is no shade on all of your immense effort, but to paint the kind of paintings of the girls with the like the hot highlights that look kind of wet. This is Malcolm T. Lipke kind of
Mm.
paintings that have been like I see them everywhere. They have been filtered down through other painters and other painters who are teaching them. But I know, I mean, I don't know, maybe he got it from somewhere, but that's the first place I saw it like 25 years ago. And
Yeah.
so I see it so heavily. I don't even know if you know who he is. Um,
Mm. Sure.
yeah, so you don't even know that someone taught you something that's derivative from someone else, but I can see it. Now,
Yeah.
if you get a pretty like basic low tier gallery who's really happy for you to reproduce something that sells well for a higher tier gallery,
Yeah.
um, then you'll do well with that. Do you want that? Are you that business mind who doesn't really care about expressing something unique? Then good, that will be an easier path. If you're not, then you need to get a wider view of what you're actually doing, where it came from, and find a voice that's you.
Yeah. Which is definitely
So
what I.
you do? Okay. Um, then we talk about individuation. And I think you getting more skill, surrendering to that, making that the steady path is the best choice ever. Good for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I literally just said everything I wrote down, so that's good.
I'm just writing the notes.
Okay. And I'll send you a recording of this if you
Oh,
want.
perfect. Thank you so much. I think definitely one of the things that has made me lose my confidence the past year, because I have reached a point where, so in the past, I do commissions. I have been doing commissions. I have been giving like workshops in the past, and I had like my own process of
Hmm.
paint. I had a process. I was very clear with this process. I was very comfortable. I didn't have to think about it. Like when I paint, I know what I'm putting on my palette. I know what I'm mixing. I know how I'm starting. I know how I'm ending. I had the full thing figured out until I started learning and like from other artists and I started practicing other methods. And I reached to a point where every time I want to start painting, I don't know how to start. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's good. That's good because you're very secure process that you knew. Like, I don't personally paint with this, like, except for when I was learning a skill, the
Yeah.
same process every time. Like, if you do thing, the same thing every time is great for learning. The process being a limitation that allows you to hone a skill. Um, it can be problematic when it becomes shtick, when it becomes like I put hot pink behind every painting so it glimmers out. We're like, is that necessary? Are you even an observational painter if you do this little trick that looks cool for no reason all the time? Um, I don't personally like those, but I don't think that they're interesting. When I have students in my class and I'm like, why are you starting with a Renaissance brown? We're doing a
Mm,
hot pink and turquoise still life over here. And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, well, let's try to think about what we're looking at and if that works. So doing the same thing every time,
could
at
limit me.
least, yeah, at least you have to like set an alarm clock on your on your painting career and be like, is this still serving me? And not do anything unconscious, right? Um,
Definitely.
okay. And I would just like to also say that you're doing something difficult in making yourself public. And I mean, for you right now, it's like a side hustle, kind of what you're describing. But you're like, I am a teacher. I take students. I do commissions. I am a professional. And yet I can still learn. Ooh, I got chills. That's hot. Like, keep doing that. Keep being someone who's like, it's okay to be seen evolving because that's what
Yeah.
I'm doing, and not a lot of people do it, and it's hard, and we need more people to do it, right? So that's good. You're allowed to teach a class on what you learn, then learn more and teach a class on more.
Yeah,
Teach a
definitely.
class on learning to teach a class after you learn more, like do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Completely get it.
Okay. Okay. So then my next section is just how do we move forward? Like, so I guess what do you have to say? Like, what do you want to do to move forward and find your next plateau? It will just be
Mm.
plateau after plateau after plateau. So where's your next one? Um, how do you sustain yourself on this uncomfortable part of the journey towards the next plateau? What do you think? How does it feel?
Honestly, at this point, I think what I really need to do is just like stick to practicing until I am confident again with something. Because now every time I'm like trying to practice on something, I'm discouraged. Okay, in the beginning, I had this feeling like, oh, I know it's uncomfortable. It's fine. Let's push through. I know it's uncomfortable. It's fine. Let's push through. But then I reached a point where it became uncomfortable and I'm pushing back like, oh, you know what? I'll do it next week. Let's take a break. Let's take a break. Let's go back to landscape. I started learning soft pastels this year, which I think was a huge like me trying to run away from the uncomfortableness and find something else that is giving me joy again instead of
Hmm.
always comfortable with something I used to feel so comfortable with. So I think what I want to do now is go back to focusing completely on this, like practicing it until I reach to a point again where I know how I'm starting every time I start a painting at least. I know like at least how the beginning is gonna be with my process instead of every time overthinking, wait, how did I start last time? But
Yeah.
I started the time before it. But can I do it again? So I think this is definitely the first thing I want to focus on right now.
Okay, I think that's good. I think you should do art path, study path, though. I think you should. So, how often do you paint during the week?
So I'll last month because I'm more proud of last month because this month I haven't been painting at all.
Mhm.
But last month I would say I was painting 3 times a week,
Okay.
but not all of them are like oil paint portraiture, which is what I am like focusing on right now. Because last year I was really focusing a lot on landscape, specifically with soft pastels, and I have like also took workshops on that because it was a new medium to me. So it wasn't a lot of oil paint portraiture in general.
Okay. Um, well, I would just organize your painting time in a way that's not high pressure, that's doable,
Yeah.
easily doable. So if you have 3 days a week, um, you decide, but one or two should be minimum 3 hours painting a skill-based, skill gaining exercise, right? From the person you're studying with, right? And that's what you're going to do. And then the next 1 or 2 days, if you only have 3 days, you decide. But you can explore in a free way. And then just make that a commitment. And I suggest when you institute structure to learn, that you commit to that structure, whether it's a process or a schedule, for 6 months.
Okay.
And then put that on your calendar and reassess after 6 months. Okay, was this working for me? Um, do I want to add another day? Do I want to take away a day? Do I want to change the process?
Okay. Okay. So stay consistent the best I can.
Yes, yes. Okay, my dog, hold on 1 second. My dog needs to go. Come on. Go ahead. Sorry. He wakes up and then wants to go cuddle in the other bed. We
Sweet.
have a deal. Okay. All right. Well, that is all my notes. I think this dealing with the feelings of looking for more is more about a perspective shift than anything you're doing that's wrong. Um,
Yeah.
so, do you have any questions or subjects you want to talk about for the rest of our hour?
To be honest, I feel like I already have so many tips because one of the most important tips you were telling me about was the which is stuck in my head the whole time you were talking. This like one thing was stuck in my head, which was that when you were saying maybe I was like afraid of actually diving into like realism as a skill, and you were just saying like no, and like my art is more abstract. It's more impressionist. It's more I don't want to do that. And the whole time in my head, I was like, yeah, really, like every time I would feel like I'm going deeper, I immediately pull back. I immediately pull myself back because that's how I started. I started realism and I was into it. And then I reached, I was like, oh, you know what? This is not satisfying. So I completely shifted. And definitely I want to get back to this now and like put my full focus on it. And when it comes to drawing, I am guilty to be honest, because I completely stopped drawing the past couple of years. The last time I drew, I think, was the first 3 years of me actually learning to like actually full time learning how to paint, how to draw, how to do anything. And after that, I stopped any pencil work and I completely focused on painting. And I do every time I do think about, oh, it's been such a long time since I last drew something with a pencil. And I do get
Mhm.
this feeling like I don't think I would be able to do that now. I haven't
Ah,
done.
so interesting. Okay. Um, I never draw with a pencil anymore. I never do, but I did for learning. And
Yeah,
the reason I suggest it is not because it's like a vitamin all artists should take. It's
yeah,
because it's a practical, efficient way to gain the skill you want fast. Um,
yes,
my things are never moralistic. They're all like, what do you want? Here's how we get it for you. That's
Yeah.
efficiency, right? Um, so I liked drawing with a mechanical pencil because you never need to sharpen it. It's easy
Yeah.
to erase and like a smooth piece of paper. And so on my school platform, I have a lesson of drawing and all my lessons. So if you ever want to see my lessons, there's a place where you can find them. Um, but I then want to talk about, I have an example to share with you of when I stopped resisting um, more realism, right?
Hmm.
Because that's what we're talking about. So this painting um, is 16 by 16. And okay, so I was teaching in a school with a lot of um, like atelier kind of, um, I would even call it like zealous realists who would only paint from life and only in north light and only with ancient techniques, right? And so here I am taught by illustrators being like, oh, am I missing something? Do I
Yeah.
suck? Like I'm feeling insecure
Mm.
because I I wanted to be sure that where I was skill wise was my choice and not my fear, right?
Mm.
Like I didn't want where I stopped to be defensive. Oh, I didn't need that. I wanted
Yeah.
it to be like, I got all of it and I threw it away. And the coolest thing is after I did like this experiment, I felt so free, and I'll explain about this. And someone even wrote an article about me that says she has all the tools, all the weapons to go into battle, but and I think he doesn't understand all the tools that you can have as a painter. But he said, and she goes into the battle with a kazoo. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm choosing not to go in, you're all marching in a line with swords and bayonets or whatever. Anyway, forgive me, my analogies do go on. But
Yeah.
so this was an experiment with a difficult subject
Yeah.
that was painted from life that I attempted to put as much realism as I could in.
Mm.
Accurate drawing of these shapes, right? All these intricate little shapes.
Yeah.
And I was like, just keep making it as real as you possibly can. And I got to this point. There's still abstraction here, right? Quite a lot of it, because that's my voice. But I got to a point where I was satisfied and impressed with myself for having the patience and fortitude to like really mix these accurate colors and really design these like none of the drawing shapes are abstracted. Only levels of realism. And so I kind of learned, I'm like, I actually do care about drawing design in silhouette form. I don't really care about edges and rendering photographic realism. So
Yeah.
in pushing myself, I, in stepping over the line, I learned where my line was. And then I became the owner of where I choose to stop with
Oh,
realism. Okay.
nice. Definitely got
Um,
that.
yeah, so that's what you have to do. And just things like your natural expressiveness and your voice, like they will be present. I was searching all your work. I was like, I wonder which part is like her core kernel of self. Like I know it's in here. And I
Yeah.
cannot wait to see you evolve and see what remains because in everyone I see develop, there's some part that's them that they've had since they're 5 years old that's
Yeah.
showing up and then it gets polished and it like starts to grow through. So that
Yeah.
will happen. You can't. And believe me, I didn't think I would be this painter. Like I wanted to be a different kind of painter. It was like an ego death to accept the painter I am. You can't lose what you are, um, even if you want to.
Yeah. I completely get that because this is definitely a fear. When I first started like painting, I had a completely different, I'm just talking color wise. I had a very completely different atmosphere when it came to my paintings. They were always dark. There was always like this very harsh contrast between like the darks and lights. Like you can really differentiate. My dark is like the closest to white, and my like highlights are the closest to black and closest to white. So, and then suddenly I completely changed that when I wanted more color in my paintings, and I had that fear of, but everyone now, like everyone around me, like when they see my work, they tell me. I get people who I haven't spoken to in like 5 6 years, people I've only seen in school, and they reach out to me saying they saw a post and they knew that this is me because they saw the art.
Yeah.
And I
Mm-hmm.
was so scared, but then but I'm changing it now.
Mm.
And I did that switch of like changing my colors, but then here now again, I have this fear even worse because now this is not just about changing color. This could be changing everything that I'm actually working with.
Yeah, but it's good. I think every time I look back to what I was afraid to let go of, and I look back at it and I go, oh God, why was I afraid to let go of that old thing? Right?
Yeah.
Like, wow, I'm so glad I did. Like, I have never, ever regretted any pursuit of growth.
Yeah.
So just, parent yourself in your fear and be like,
Yeah.
it's okay, baby. It's okay. We have supplies. We're going on a little trip. We're going to meet, some nice characters, and then we're going to find a cozy place again. It's okay.
It is true. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Honestly, thank you so much. This has been so enlightening. I didn't know what to expect because I've never had any, I don't know, any like actual full-on guidance or coaching. And I was like, what if she's gonna tell me like honestly I don't know how to help you, like you're so lost, you know.
Oh. Uh, no,
Over
because
here,
our
you
experience
know.
are so similar, you know? So,
Mm,
I'm just sending back a rope from ahead of you on the path. That's it.
thank
Okay,
you.
I'm
Thank
leaving
you so much.
breadcrumbs. Okay. All right. It's so nice to talk to you and good luck. I'll follow you on Instagram so I can see what you do. I'll be
Thank
watching.
you so much. Thank you. Have a good night.